Previously, we had logged in as an admin and created our instructor. We then logged in as an instructor, created our class, added our student, and gave some assignments for that student to complete. Now we're going to log in as the student, begin practicing those welds, testing our skill as well. I've already launched the guideWELD VR software and I'm sitting at the login screen here. So I'm going to go ahead and enter in the student username. And then it wants us to enter in default password. Because this is the first time I'm logging in as a student, I must use the default password, which is the word password. I'll press enter here. It wants me to change that password to something of my choosing. After doing so, the green check mark indicates that both lines match. I'll click on save. Now you can see I'm logged in as a student because my student username is in the upper right hand corner here. And you'll see that I have two assignments that are new that were just given to me. In the center, I have the assignment details. So the top line shows that there is a stick weld that I'm able to do. The bottom line shows that there is a MIG weld that I am able to do. On the far right, you'll notice that the only two options I have to work with are a practice for each of these welds. The test feature is currently locked until the student achieves a 50% or greater score in the practice mode. I'm going to start by doing a MIG weld. As you'll see, as we go into the virtual booth, we're putting on our gloves, we're pulling down our helmet because we still want to stress safety. The first thing we'll need to do is tack each side of the weld. After tacking the left and right side, you'll see that it's now ready for me to begin welding. On the screen, what you will notice are some dexterity guides. They can be toggled on or off in the bottom left-hand corner. Right in the center, currently you see a green plus indicator for my speed. That's telling me that when I begin welding, I'm going to need to go faster here. If I choose, I can turn that indicator off, as well as any of the other ones, just by clicking on the orange buttons in the bottom left-hand corner. The center of the screen allows some camera movement controls, as well as a brightness for mask density once you strike that arc. The top button right on the bottom here that you see me highlighting is a reset button, so that if I was to change my position and I wanted to go back to where I started, you could click that button and have it set as a default. Of the dexterity guides that you see, we've got a green plus in the center for a speed indicator. That will turn to a minus if I'm going too fast and I need to slow down. In the upper right and left-hand corners, you'll see work angle and travel angle. On the nozzle of the MIG gun, you'll see the nozzle to plate guide. So that's a distance indicator. And the two dotted lines indicate where the weld is to be performed for an overall straightness. As I begin welding, you'll see some of these guides come up to give me corrective action to get in proper welding position. I'm going to begin by holding my left mouse button and dragging my mouse to change my view angle here. I can then hold the right mouse button and push forward or pull back to zoom in or zoom out. Once you're in a position that's comfortable for you to weld, go ahead and pick up the MIG gun, get into position, pull that trigger and begin welding. When all the guides are in the correct position, you will get what we call a golden gun, indicating that everything is in proper specs. You've got the right work angle, travel angle, nozzle to plate distance, and speed. If I was to change my angles, the software gives me corrective guidance on which way I need to move and how fast I need to move to get back into that proper position. After completing the weld, in the bottom right corner, the top button is the save icon. The student will then click this to get their graded report for the practice they just completed. The top of the screen shows the assignment that the student was working on. The left side of the screen indicates the 5 key points that we're working on improving the student's skill levels at: work angle, travel angle, nozzle to plate distance, speed, and overall straightness. Again, the center here shows that tolerance for novice is quite wide, and that orange line is where the software actually tracked me performing that weld. For each of these categories, again, I got an individual score for all of them. And you'll see that speed is the only one where I went too slow. So I was out of bounds and I got deducted a percentage there. After averaging these scores out, I get an overall score of my 91%. The student has the ability to print this report from here, but if they want to just reflect on it, realize that in this case, I need to work on my speed, I can click the back button in the bottom left corner, and I'll be taken right back to the assignment screen. Now you'll notice that I still have one that's new because I haven't practiced it at all, which is the stick weld. And my MIG weld, because I scored a 91% on the practice, it now has opened up the test option. I'll go into test now so you can see what that looks like. Here again, the welding booth is the same. We will come in, tack the left and the right side. I'll move my viewing positions here. And what you'll notice is that in test mode, there are no dexterity guides. So this is where the student will reflect on what they've learned and practice purely out of skill. Should everything get in the correct position, they will also still get a golden gun, which I'm probably not going to make in this weld here. Once they finish their weld, they'll click the save button in the bottom right again. They'll get that immediate assessment and those scores for what they had worked on. And here's their overall test score. So the big difference between a practice and test is that in practice, the student has access to those dexterity guides, whereas in a test, there are no helpful guides for them at all. It's purely their skill. After completing the test for this assignment, we now see that assignment has been completed. I've done practice, I've done a test, and there's nothing else that I need to do on that. But if the student chooses, they certainly can still go right back in and continue practicing on that same assignment.